of the data content, you can change the length, the field which contains the length in correlation. So with this background of the tool, we can move into the demonstration. I'll show you how this tool works. This is the okay. So this is the command line for the tool. I have to tell the file type and the sample file. Let's run the tool. I'll show you a few configuration files that I have. I'll be giving you demo for Wav file. So this is the configuration file for a Wav file. You need not understand the complete format. It looks a little complicated in the beginning, but essentially every line contains the information about one field. In case of a RIF file format, RIFF is the constant string that I observe in the beginning, and then the rest of the fields. Every field is separated in terms of the offset, the length of the field, and the hierarchy information, which is captured as a colon separated string here. The offset could be a constant number or a formula. For example, if I am referring to field 2, the field 2 begins after the offset of field 1 followed by the length of field 1. So if the length is not constant, then these kind of formulas will work. So this is one sample input file as a file format specification, and the second is the fuzzing configuration that the tool requires. This is it. So I specify this is the field, fmt colon subchunk size is the field that I want to fuzz for integer overflow, and length update is false here. So what it will do is this tool will take the sample input file, parse it based on the file format specification that we have just seen, and will separate out the field format and chunk size, and will provide various inputs which are malformed into inputs for an integer. So let's look at the tool running. Wav file fuzzing. The sample wave file is this, and I have to generate 10 fuzzed files for this. All right. So there are total 11 files. One was the sample file, and rest all are the files generated by this tool. Let's move into the second demonstration, wherein I would show you the file specification when the complete file format is not known. As you have just seen in the format specification, RIFF was the first field. Let's look at another configuration file for Wav format, but the first field is changed here. It's not anymore the constant field. So it's kind of a demonstration for showing that even if the complete format specification is not understood or not known to the user, he can actually generate the files which are valid and which will be accepted by the application. Now here fmt is a constant string again, which is used as a reference in the sample file, and the offsets are given backwards with reference to this constant string in the file. All right. The fuzzing configuration remains the same for this. Let me show that there are no Wav files present. Currently there is only one sample file, and I will run the same command line here to generate more sample files. Earlier, as you have seen earlier, these are the files generated, but the difference is that these files are generated with partial understanding of the file format, but still they are the valid Wav files. Now we have seen that this tool also lets me do application specific configuration file fuzzing. So let's have a demo for that as well. Now here I would be showing you a configuration file. So this is a custom written configuration file for a space separated sample file. Or maybe before I should show you a sample input file. So for example, my application takes in the absolute path of a file and some integer followed by that. And this configuration file use semicolon as the field separator. And now my application is going to browse to this file and write 10 into it. Now if I have to test my application for this, and I have to try a directory traversal attack on the first field, how would I go about doing this? I will write this configuration file which will describe my the format of my configuration file in this way. And let me show you a fuzzing configuration for this. The fuzzing configuration says modify this input all occurrences with a format string attack. So it has generated a few files. So this is my original file. This is one of the first files. If you can see, all the first fields are modified according to the possible inputs for a format string attack. All right. So this is the kind of inputs this file can put into the first file. Another quick demo about how do I fuzz the configuration files with limited occurrences. For example, only first and third occurrence has to be fuzzed. So I'll run this tool. Would rather run the same. This is the first file. This is the original file, and here the second field is maintained as it was from the earlier input, and only the first and the third occurrences are fuzzed for a directory traversal attack. So these strings are related to a directory traversal attack. So that's how this tool works. Now apart from this, now the common question that you would put forward to me would be, okay, we have generated fuzzed files, but do they do anything or not? So let's try one of the, I have a few files here which are, I have pre-generated these files. Let me provide these files to the VLC media player and see how it deals with it. Oh, okay. So you see, one of the first files has caused the application to crash. The sample data that I have put into these files are not really malicious, but then if I can provide any executable code and that goes and gets written into a buffer, and it can cause really a harm. Well, this application is not able to handle this malformed file properly. But then does that mean that I have just given out a 0-day over here on VLC player? Definitely not, because Symantec believes in responsible disclosure. I won't do that here. So this is a publicly known vulnerability on VLC player. The version that I have tried was version 7, and the latest versions have this vulnerability fixed. All right, towards the end of this presentation, what I would like to say is what is the future that we have to, we plan for this tool, is that mainly the application, the tool works on file formats. So unless and until I provide a library of the file formats, the tool is kind of difficult to use. So what we plan to do is give a good library of the various file formats, so this tool can be directly used, and a detailed correlation among the fields like CRC modifications once the data is modified, a few of these kind of modifications that we plan to do in this. That's all I have from my side. Thank you everyone for letting me talk over here and being attentive. Please feel free to put in your questions. I'll try to answer them. Thank you.